Good morning, and from Fox View Lanes in Waukesha, Wisconsin, this is the PBA Fox View Lanes Midwest Open. Good morning, everybody. I'm $2 Phil Brylow here with you from Fox View Lanes. Players have just under 5 minutes of practice remaining. And thanks for joining us once again from Fox View Lanes. I'm $2 Phil Brylow. Once again, Research Regional, I guess we could call this morning. We're here on the QubicaAMF Edge String Pin Setters. And with those pin setters, this isn't an official PBA Regional title. This will not count towards the RPI points for the season in the Midwest region. But it will count for a nice sized paycheck, $5,000 scheduled to be on top this weekend here at Fox View. Let's get back to the lanes for the remaining part of practice. And we'll give you the full rundown of our players as we go along here. We'll just give you a nice little scan of some of the players you'll see in action. There you see David Northhouse. Northhouse finished in 4th place last week at Easy Bowl in Bluffton, Indiana, for that Family Ford of Bluffton Yergis Barbecue Easy Bowl Central Open, hosted by the Tackett family. Of course, our champion last week was Kyle Troop, defeated EJ Tackett in the championship match. Tackett squared. You'll see both Zach and EJ on B Squad. B Squad starting at 2 p.m. Central Time. There you see a couple other PBA champions with Sam Cooley down on 1 and 2. Kevin McCune on 5 and 6. And once again, let's just give you a nice scan. 16 lanes in play. All lanes do have the QubicaAMF pin setters. There you see Marshall Kent. They'll be kicking things off on 9 and 10. Several local players there. You see PBA champion Ronnie Russell down on 13 and 14. Yeah, we'll give you the whole field rundown in about 90 seconds once we get the announcements from PBA Midwest Director Toby Contreras. And then we will be underway here from Waukesha, Wisconsin. All right, and with the announcements from Toby Contreras, we are underway here at Foxy Lanes in Waukesha, Wisconsin. I got to admit, it's kind of nice having a home game for the live streaming this weekend. Less than a 15-minute drive from this bowling center. And it's nice to sleep in a little bit before getting here. Hope you're comfortable at home. Good morning, Pat. If anybody's got questions, drop them in the chat. We'll try to get them answered as quick as we can. I'm sure we'll have Neil Stremmel, PBA Director of Rules and Equipment, coming in to the booth sometime this morning, both here on A Squad and then a little later today on B Squad. Your pairings on 1 and 2, Sam Cooley, Darren Bloomquist, and Tegan Murda. You see Murda trying to take down 210, not successful. Seth Lehman, Benji Martinez, and Luke Switalski, your bowlers on 3 and 4. We'll give you the rundown throughout the whole morning here in the main feed. Main feed, you have yourself whip around coverage. We'll cover the hot hands. We'll stay with them. But if you want to follow, let's say, Sam Cooley all morning long, you'll be able to do that on any of the pair feeds. So my suggestion is go in the description here on the main feed if you're watching. If you look down in that description of the videos, you'll see all the pair feeds available to you. Right-click on those pair feeds, open up a new tab, because then that way you'll still get the audio from here in the main feed, and you'll be able to watch your favorite player all morning long. And we'll give you the updates on where players are moving to after each game. Along with score updates, other pertinent information. One thing that is definitely noticeable in not just this bowling center, but last week as well, at Easy Bowl, is that the pin setters are so quiet and efficient. You kind of have to watch your tone of voice during tournament competition. I've already seen a couple of players already check his. Sotalski gets the 6-pin to go in front of the 10 on the washout conversion. 10 still stands. Let's get over to 5 through 8. On 5 and 6, you have Chase Simmons, Ryan Zagar, and Kevin McCune. 7 and 8, Matt Gasson, David Northouse, and Brent Dahl. We mentioned Northouse last week. 4th place finish in Bluffton. As Kyle Troop took out Northouse in an opening match, and then Troop ran the ladder, taking down Chandler Stevens, and then E.J. Tackett. How about that for the spinning messenger? Take it down, Chase Simmons. One thing I did get a little comment of yesterday from the practice session is that the players here found the pins a little more lively here at Foxview than they found at Easy Bowl, but also these pins are a little more broken in. Foxview had the pinfall ready to go by Mother's Day after their Cubica Edge string pin machine install. So there's been a good 4 months of play and a good amount of league play as well. A couple of big full house summer leagues all summer long in these string pins. And then, of course, you've got all your Monday through Friday and weekend leagues. Here, and with proper rotation of the pins. You'll see Matt Gasson coming into the right side of your screen on lane 8. And let's, after that's done, and the ball leaves down lane, here you go. Let's take a look close up on that pin deck. Oh! Nothing gets near the 9 for Gasson. So 7 and 8 will be our stepladder pair on Sunday. So we'll be able to give you some close-up looks throughout the weekend of the goings-on at the pin deck on that pair. The wonderful world of technology. Hey, Mr. Leaderbach. Hope all is well. Missed you last week at Bluffton. I'm sure you're in Jackson, Michigan. I forgot if that regional, I'll have to go online and look at PBA.com. Best way to do it. Have to go down and look and see if won that Jackson Regionals. Good luck to you, and Ryan. I know you're going to be bowling that one. As everybody's getting closer and closer to their RPI qualifier spots in the Midwest and Central region. Central already had their senior PBA 50 qualifier a couple of weeks back. Of course, all your PBA RPI qualifiers those you'll see on Bowl TV. Glad that 10 on the Deck Productions, that's my company, is working in conjunction with the PBA to bring you this live streaming on YouTube all weekend long till we crown our champion tomorrow afternoon. Scheduled start time for that stepladder is going to be 1:30 p.m. Central Time. Well, we saw McCune take down a Big 4 last weekend. Bounced the 4-pin out of the pit into the 610. Let's see if Gasson can give this one a ride on the 710. He'll go to bounce the 10 out of the pit. Need to get back over the top of the ball. That didn't happen. Let's get you over to 9 through 12. 9 and 10, Marshall Kent, Chad Moss, Peyton Naback. 11 and 12 is Ryan Barron, Kevin Gran, David Barris. So quite a few local players. 5 of the 6 on this shot. Only one that's not a local is Marshall Kent. And, well, Barris blows the 5 into the 7. 4 stands. Hi, Linda. Hope all is well, too. Have a safe drive. Good luck in that Jack 60 Regional. Hey, do me a favor. Tell Dave Small I said hi when you see him. Always appreciate me some Dave Small. And on this 44-foot Cameron Salvino pattern, sure, the lanes are going to play a little tighter than we saw in the 38-foot Wayne Webb last week, but you still can't pull that ball left like we saw from Moss right there. As Moss leaves the 3, 6, and 10. Oh, and the 6 just like a dart into the flat gutter for Moss. And the open frame. 8 games qualifying for these players. After this initial game, they're just going to move 1 pair to the right. So for those of you double tabbing us, they'll either stay in your feed or just be 1 feet over. It's pretty easy here in game 1. Once again, any questions, throw them in the chat. And after Kent throws, we'll take you to our last pairings on lanes 13 through 16. On 13 and 14, Ronnie Russell, PBA Tour champion. There you see Jonathan Shallow and Scott McDougall all taking care of business. On 13 and 14, 15 and 16, Robert Vader, David O'Sullivan coming up from Florida. And Stefan Hainan, our host here at Fox U for the weekend. Oh, almost a little flip there for O'Sullivan. But the open frame on the board. We're going to get back over to Marshall Kent, as Kent's going to be stepping up here. Looking to put the closing touches on a 257 game if he can punch all three in the 10th. Hey, good morning, Trey Heinrichsmeyer, trying to take down another regional title. Well, he's not a member yet, so technically it's not a regional title. And actually this weekend wouldn't be a regional title because it's considered a research regional with these QubicaAMF string pin setters. But the trophy still goes home at you, and the check still cashes $5,000 on top this weekend for the champion of this Foxx Lanes Open. So a quality start there by Marshall Kent. We have 48 players in total in the field, so we will advance 16 players to tomorrow's aptly named Advancers round. That'll begin at 9 a.m. Central. They'll bowl 4 games. They'll cut to the top 8 for 3 additional games immediately after. And once we get through those final 3 games of bowling, we'll cut to the top 4 for the stepladder finals. That's scheduled to start right about 1:30 p.m. tomorrow. Here at Foxx Lanes. So player movement, as we mentioned, 1 pair to the right. So Kent and crew move the 11 and 12. Barrows and crew move the 13 and 14. So they'll be in a new feed if you're double tabbing us on PBA YouTube. And I want to thank once again our primary sponsors all season long for the live streaming tenant that I can provide for PBA regional action. The 2025 PBA LBC National Championships. If you've bowled in past editions of that event or you're currently a Bolero LBC member, you can enter now. Entries will open to the general public on December 1st. Get all your tournament information today, pba.com/LBC tournament. And H5G Brands having a big sale to celebrate getting closer to Halloween. Save 35% site-wide through October 15th with no code needed. Limited exceptions apply at h5gbrands.com. This is the PBA Foxx Lanes Midwest Open. Game 2-8 coming up next after player movement. All right, as we're into game number 2 here at the PBA Foxx Lanes Midwest Open. Gasson, Northhouse, Dowell on 9 and 10, 11 and 12 is Kent, Moss, and Nabak. Got Nabak looking like a giant out here under these scoreboards. He is pretty tall. Give him about 6'3", 6'4" on the old height scale. As he picks up the picket fence. Parents, the 44-foot Carmen Salvino, for those of you inquiring in the chat. We'll get you a first game scoring update, and we'll get you a link in the chat so you too can go and update your own scorebooks game by game as the morning progresses. There we go. We just dropped it in the chat for everyone. And once Toby Contreras, PBA Regional Manager for the Midwest, uploads and re-verifies all those scores. We'll bring you the top players in the field after that initial game. Ooh, Nabak almost got the roller on the 2-pin. One of the spots we've had a long time in the past, and back for these couple of test regionals, research regionals as I've been calling them. Over the last couple events is BowlerX.com, and in October they're supporting Striking Out Against Breast Cancer, that great event that runs the well-known Lucy in Houston every July. And BowlerX.com this month, with every order you'll have the option to donate to Striking Out Breast Cancer, and if you choose to donate, once $500 in donations are received, for every $500, BowlerX will do a drawing, and you could win a bowling ball, bowling bag, or bowling shoes valued up to $250 if you're drawn as that particular raffle winner. Get all your details. Check out the latest releases and what's available to you at BowlerX.com. I want to thank leading Chris DeSant for coming on board for these couple of events. Ooh, the Smash 7 and the wry look on Northhouse's face on the way back. Once again, these players will have the opportunity to provide feedback on how they feel about their experience on these QubicaAMF Edge string pins, not only to the PBA with Neil Stremmel here, but also to some fine folks at QubicaAMF that are on site. And I got to agree with the players that bowled last week in Bluffton and are here this week in Waukesha. A little more age on these machines here in Waukesha, and the pins seem to be a tad bit livelier at the back of the pin deck. So can't always judge every string pin setter by its cover. Just like, when a bowling center brings in new bowling pins, as Marshall Kent gets nothing near the 9-pin. It takes a while for those pins to break in before they bounce around all nice and lively. And it's a similar experience with these Edge string pin setters as well. I know they rotate the pins around. They're notified every 10,000 frames that the pins need a rotation. It's just like rotating your tires on your car. There's a certain way to do it to make sure you maximize your tire life on your car. Well, there's a certain way to do it here on these Edge string pin setters to maximize pin life and make sure that some pins are not necessarily beat up more than others. Hey, do us a favor, share on social media that you're watching the PBA regional action on YouTube today. I know Adam Lemreese is going to share it on social media that he's doing that today. Adam, hope all is well in the Asheville area in North Carolina. I know it's got a long road back for a lot of people down that way. I'm glad you made it through unscathed, and I know you've been helping out in the community. So I hope you have a nice, relaxing Saturday watching your favorite sport, bowling, here on PBA YouTube. Let's take a look over. Let's go over to 7 and 8 quickly as we've got Ryan Zagar. See coming in a picture on lane 8. Zagar stepped out of that shot a bit, and you see what happens there. It was on the front 4. No such thing as a commentator jinx. That's on him. Fun time had at the Pro-Am last night. Full house. 8 on a pair. To bowl with the pros. Some great pros like Marshall Kent, E.J. Tackett, Ronnie Russell was having a good time last night. For sure. Let's check in on Russell as Russell is bowling with Scott McDougall and Jonathan Shallow on 15 and 16. Russell's trying to keep it clean through half a game. Watching some of these players, there's a little difference in some of the approaches being taken to the pocket. I think some players maybe jumped in a little too far left too early, and now they're kind of creeping back out to the right as Shallow cannot get the 10 to fall. Let's see what Russell can do here to improve his carry percentage. Only 1 strike through the first 5 frames of this game for Russell. And make it a 2nd strike this game for Russell. We're going to get down to lanes 1 through 4 as we've got a big run getting put up right now by our host, Stefan Hannon. Open frame in the first on the single pin, but he's bounced back with a 5-bagger. Hannon bowling with Vader and O'Sullivan. Vader started good this game with a double, but it's been a struggle since. O'Sullivan keeping it clean, but needs more. That one a little faster. Hannon, is he going to roll the 2 from behind? Yes, he does. And once again, some of the hits we did see too often last week in Bluffton. Picking up a bit here in Waukesha. Once again, a little different age in the pin stars. It doesn't take much to break in pins, whether they're on strings or not. You have to get games in on them and kind of beat them up so they fly around a little bit more. And I think that may be the case here at Foxview. Just a little more play. More of a metropolitan area that we're in as compared to Bluffton being a town of about 5,000. So for everyone It's kind of prejudging string pins. Hold off till all the data's in. I mean, that's why Neil Stremel's here. That's why there's manufacturer representatives here from QubicaAMF. They may not be perfect, but hey, even free fall isn't perfect. You see quirks and free fall pin setters all the time. Let's see if we have our first game update here on line yet, and I don't have it as of yet. We'll get you a score rundown momentarily. Well, let's see if Haanen can parlay. That's going to need help. Yeah, that was left in the backswing for Haanen. But still a quality run here in game 2. Hey, Elaine. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll see Lyle. Let's give everybody a rundown of who actually is on B Squad. Lyle Kuhlman will be on B Squad. Brian Schmidt, he's a PBA 50 member from the area, bowls a lot of the PBA 50 Midwest and Central regions. PBA Tour champion A.J. Johnson. Trey Heinrichsmeyer, who took down a regional back on Memorial Day weekend here down at Strike and Spare 2 in Lockport. Lockport going to be hosting both the PBA and PBA 50 Midwest RPIs a little later in the season. And Chris Watson and his staff down at Strike and Spare 2, phenomenal people. Chris, wish I could be there for it. I know you wish we could be there for it too. But it's going to be a Bull TV subscription event. Other players, we have E.J. Tackett, we mentioned Mark Blaha. Mark, I know you popped in the chat before. I know you're probably watching from the hotel room, getting an eye on things for a little later today on B Squad. If that name sounds familiar, Blaha, well, he was our champion in the Open Classic division for the 2024 PBA LBC National Championships. $25,000 taken out for that, along with the participation in the PBA LBC Clash at Bayside Bowl. And I know Mark had a heck of a time. Not just on the lanes, but off the lanes as well in Portland. So did all of our LBC Clash participants. I mean, you talk about a great place for bowling, and they're having a great event there this weekend, the Hungus 8K. Sorry I'm missing it, Charlie Mitchell. Frankie and Ding Dong taking care of business on the live streaming there tomorrow for that great event at Bayside Bowl. $8,000 on top. I know there's a lot of players out there. I saw Danielle McCune, Justin Urbano on the roster, among many other bow powers and non-bow powers alike, as Sullivan gets the roll. So good to see Blaha taking on a regional, and yeah, he's not nervous at all with E.J. Tackett crossing with him on his pair today. Zach Tackett we'll see as well. And good to see PBA Tour champion Josh Blanchard making the trip up here. Of course, Josh now still taking care of business on the lanes whenever possible, but he is with QubicaAMF and he was part of the team here yesterday that was providing a little demonstration, little walkthrough for other proprietors in the area that might be interested in these QubicaAMF string pin setters. And it was nice seeing a lot of the proprietors from around southeastern Wisconsin and a couple from northern Illinois came up to see what all the chatter is about. Hayden, 10th frame, looking to put 257 on the board. Yeah, he's asking that one to peel, and a little overcorrection. From Hayden, and we want to thank some of the local sponsors that have stepped up for this weekend to help not only promote this event, but also add a bit to the prize. And, of course, Foxx Lanes. There's always live music here on Friday nights here at Foxx U. Certix Decorating, the Waukesha USBC, and Master Machine Company, all proud sponsors of the PBA Foxx U Open. Well, we haven't taken a look in on 5 through 8 yet. Let's give it a peek now. We'll give you a quick rundown of the Game 1 scores for your leaders. Sam Cooley, Marshall Kent, both at 233. Kevin McCune, 225. Northhouse, 222. Blomquist, 221. Matt Gasson, 211. Tegan Murda and Stefan Hanen, 205. And Ronnie Russell, 201. Your only players above 200 in Game 1. David O'Sullivan, 11th at 199. So, player movement after this game will be skip a pair, land on the second. So these players you see on 5 and 6 going over to 9 and 10, 7, 8 going to 11 and 12. So those of you double tabbing us on YouTube, you'll know what pair feed to switch to. Of course, keep us on here in the main feed. We'll give you score updates. We'll get Neil Stremmel in here in another couple of games. He's out here observing, talking to players and such. And once again, this is I'm calling it a research regional on these QubicaAMF Edge string pin setters. No official title to be awarded, but when you get a nice trophy and a $5,000 check for your hard work for the weekend, that'll definitely ease the sting of not having one of those champions banners added to the lanes if you are a PBA member. I'm $2 Phil Brylo, taking you through the weekend. If you have questions, drop them in the chat. We'll try to get them answered for you as quickly as possible. Actually, I ducked, sorry. All right, let's start you off in Game 3. We'll stick with the Zagar pairing here. Simmons, Zagar, McCune on 11 and 12, 9 and 10. Here in Game 3 will be Lehman, Martinez, Switalski. Once again, we'll follow some hot hands as the players progress their way across the center, progress their way through the round. We've got a two-game scoring update coming up shortly out of the tournament office. Once again, as we chatted about a little bit earlier, there's always PBA regional action going on. You can go to PBA.com and click on the drop-down menu for PBA Tour at the top middle of the page, and you'll see the PBA Regional Tour tab. Select that, and you can go down and see what regionals might be going on in your area, either now or in the next few weeks. As this weekend, quite a few regionals going on. We have the PBA Lafayette Lanes Fayetteville Open in Fayetteville, North Carolina. The PBA 50 Hot Springs Village Southwest Open, that's going on in Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. A couple of big events in Tulum, California. The PBA and PBA 50 battles at Black Oak. That's going on at Black Oak Lanes, nice facility with a casino attached to it in California. Tomorrow it's the Jack's 60 Central Open. That's just a one-day event. They'll have practice today at Jack 60 in Jackson, Michigan. Once again, Dave Small approaching ever so close to 100 hosted PBA events, whether it's PBA Tour or PBA Regional action. For men who has 6 bowling centers, that definitely shows dedication and love for the PBA. And there is one RPI Open qualifier being held this weekend. That's out east in Binghamton, New York, with the PBA 50 Ripix Carousel Lanes Bowl TV RPI Open. Know you have choices to watch bowling this weekend between Bowl TV, as they're already underway from Rippick's Carousel Lanes, and other amateur events. But we're here with the PBA Regional Tour from Foxx Lanes in Waukesha, Wisconsin, for the PBA Foxx Lanes Midwest Open. I'm $2 Phil Brylow. If you have questions for me or for Neil Stremmel, drop them in the chat. If you have questions about these QubicaAMF string pin setters, as Switalski gets the spinning messenger. In front of the 10. That's a little painful for the young man from Northern Illinois. As soon as the two-game scoring update comes across the wire, we'll be happy to bring that to you. Everyone underway in their third game.
Hi, Jenna. Nice to meet you.
Take a peek over on 5 through 8. 5 and 6, we have Vader, O'Sullivan, and Haanen. 7 8, Cooley, Bloomquist, and Murda. Take a look here as Murda trying to take down the 3 4, 7 10. Let's get a close-up on the pin deck. And there you see 3 10 goes. No love on the 4 7. Hey, Nathan. Thanks for tuning in to PBA YouTube today. Good luck in your tournament tomorrow. It's always fun when you're a new player to the game, and as you mentioned, the camaraderie first and foremost. I remember that a lot more than any tournament titles and that type of thing from my bowling career. Always some great stories, and of course, no good bowling story starts with, hey, I had a salad, went to bowling, and then, had a good time. It usually starts with something else. Went to bowling, that type of thing. So let's give you a 2-game scoring update. Marshall Kent, your leader, plus 79. Sam Cooley, who you see taking the toss on lane 7. Cooley, plus 77. Chad Moss, used to be 276 game in game 3 to get the plus 74. Stefan Haanen, plus 41. Darren Bloomquist, plus 39. Ryan Zagar, plus 24. Ronnie Russell, David O'Sullivan at plus 16. Kevin McCune, plus 4. Murda, plus 3. And Barron, plus 2. Run out your top 11. Those are the only players in the positive at this moment. Let's get you over to 13 through 16 as we have Marshall Kent on the front 7. And Northhouse was on the front 5 before that 10-pin stood in defiance of Northhouse. Hey, Scott Merritt, hope all is well. sure you're getting ready for the PBA 50 RPI in a few weeks. Down at Strike and Spare, too. You guys get the first weekend in November for that Midwest PBA 50 RPI. Saturday and Sunday, November 2nd and 3rd. The juniors, the kids, the standard division, actually it is. Actually, we have a PBA junior, obviously, with the PBA junior program, but the standard division RPI, that'll be taking place at Strike and Spare 2 in Lockport. Saturday and Sunday, the 26th and 27th. Once again, any RPI qualifying event, that will be streamed by Bowl TV, so you will need a subscription to Bowl TV. Hey, good to know the injury bug's going away. And you'll be ready to rock and roll. I'm going to try to get down there for that one, at least on Saturday. I've got some TV tapings up here in Milwaukee on Sunday, November 3rd. So it's nice to see bowling getting back on TV on the local airwaves in numerous places. I know there's a group out in North Dakota that has a tie-in with some over-the-air TV stations there that they're occasionally streaming tournament finals. I know out in Western New York, they're just bringing back their Beat the Champs TV series after a few years off. Is Kent looking for the nifty ninth? Or pardon me, that's the excellent eighth. We got to wait for the nifty ninth. Marshall's girlfriend Cassie here for the weekend as well for moral support. Good to see Cassie again. And we're bringing back bowling here in southeastern Wisconsin. We're on My 24 Milwaukee starting 2 weeks from today, October 26th, with the Brew City Bowling Show. For those of you familiar with local televised bowling from 30 years ago or so, or even 40 years ago, there used to be a show called The Bowling Game in Milwaukee. It was on Monday through Friday night, 6 p.m. on Channel 18 in Milwaukee. Outdrew audiences from even all the local newscasts. Of course, that was in the day where there was like 5 channels on your TV set, and there wasn't a lot of cable TV going around at the time. But it was teams of 5 that came on TV. Each member of a team bowled a 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th frame for a maximum score of 120. But there are lots of prizes to be won, lots of fun to be had. And we're bringing that format back and having some fun with it on the Brew City Bowling Show. And once again, we'll be putting those on the 10 on the Deck Productions YouTube channel after they air on My 24 Milwaukee. So it's great that we have televised bowling locally, not just here in Wisconsin, but a couple other locations across the country as well. And hopefully that'll keep growing. So, and there's all kinds of different formats you can do. Some of the more traditional formats, scratch bowlers, that's what you're seeing on the other 2 local televised events in North Dakota, South Dakota area, and then Western New York. We're kind of it's 4 frames of bowling. You can be a 220 bowler and have the worst 4 frames of your life and have all open frames and win bowling lessons from Matt Gasson here at Foxx Lanes and Top Notch Pro Shop. And you can be a 120 average bowler, throw 4 strikes in a row, and walk away with a couple $100 worth of prizes. So it's pretty fun. For the nifty ninth for Kent, takes them all down. You see the little bit of an eye roll on the way back. Wasn't sure the 6 was going to take the 10 out. And it is. Yeah, it's good to see Matt Gasson here. Gasson, of course, owner-operator of Top Notch Pro Shop. That's here inside of Foxx Lanes here in wonderful Waukesha, Wisconsin. There's the quick messenger there. For Gasson, but no love on the 10. No home field advantage for Gasson right now. Gaston after 2 games sitting at -7, so not a horrendous morning to this point, but needs to find a few more pins to climb his way up the leaderboard. All right, everybody, tell your family, tell your friends, share it on social media. Get into PBA YouTube right now. Get here on the main feed for the PBA Foxx Lanes Midwest Open from Waukesha, Wisconsin, and let everybody know that Marshall Kent now here has a chance to put perfection on the board as he's looking for the tasty 10th in a row to start this game. Oh, nothing but back. Not even a remnant of a string left on the pin deck for Kent. He threw that so well. Kent, your leader after 2. On games of 233 and 246 for you, plus 79. Looking to make that 179 to the positive here if he can throw an ecstatic 11th. And twisting 12th. Strikes in a row. Kent, couple titles on tour this season. Definitely a rejuvenated Marshall Kent here in 2024. And, oh, there you go. Take it down. 4 gets to 7. And the pursuit of perfection still alive for Marshall Kent. And he's going to go see if he goes with a ball change here. He will. There you go. You never know when the lanes might change. And that's the change of the thumb insert for Kent. Why not? You're up a bunch. End of the day, it's not a ton of pins you're going to lose if it misses the pocket. And that one, yeah, a little light, 298. But some pertinent information gleaned by Marshall Kent. As pinfall will carry over from round to round in this event until we get to the step ladder. So you may have lost a couple pins there. May have lost on the $100 bonus. The PBA pays for $300. But if he keeps him in the lead all the way through the event, by getting that extra information on the ball change on the 12th shot, and he takes home that $5,000 first place check, I think you'll quickly forget about giving away a $100 check during qualifying as Moss gets the roller. So we're going to make a run down to 7 and 8. Check in on the man who was in second after 2 games, Sam Cooley. Cooley having some struggles this game. Can max out at 181, so he's going to be giving up a bunch of pins to Marshall Kent this game. You see Cooley stepping up on lane 7. Down lane. Ball in play. Oh, wow. How about that? 2-pin comes off the sideboard in front of the 4-pin. That was actually the head pin coming back in front of the 4-pin. 2-pin went kind of straight back, so a little unusual hit for Cooley. Well, I'm sure that's one that Sam's not going to forget for a while. Scott, you sum it up nicely. Unless it's your first PBA 300, most pros don't care about the shots. Yeah, I get it. It's nice to get it, but when you're this early in the event, yeah, it's all about where you end up in the final standings. No doubt about that. You know, and for those of you that have been screaming on social media that messengers are dead because of here on these QubicaAMF edge string pins, they're not dead. They might be on a milk carton for a few frames, but we've seen several messengers throughout the morning this morning. Most of them, honestly, have gone back in front of the 10. We saw it last week at Easy Bowl as well. We saw a decent amount of messengers, but most of them not doing the job on the 10, cutting in front. And once again, that's those adjustments players need to make on this slightly different pinfall. Let's see what Bloomquist can do here on lane 7, 3, 6, 7, and 10. We'll give you a close-up on the pin deck as the ball makes its way down. Take a peek, and there you go. You just see that barely clipped the 3 pin. And it does what a free fall pin would have done right there when you barely touch it. Just falls over. So, Marshall Kent putting a big lead on everyone at this moment. After putting 298 on the board here in Game 3. Player movement this time, for those of you double tabbing us, is they're going to be moving 2 pairs and landing on the 3rd, so skipping 2, landing on the 3rd. So the players you see here on 7 and 8 with Cooley, Bloomquist, and Murder, they're going to go down to 13 and 14. Vader, O'Sullivan, and Hainan make their way down to 11 and 12, so skip 2, land on the 3rd. For your player movement here for the PBA Foxx Lanes Midwest Open, once again want to thank our sponsors all season long to help bring PBA Regionals live streaming to you. First being the PBA LBC National Championships 2025 edition, once again back at Bolero Mount Prospect in the greater Chicagoland area. If you bowled previous editions of the LBC National Championships or are a Bolero LBC member, your entries are open now. For the general public, those entries will open December 1st. Find all your tournament information at pba.com/LBC tournament. And H5G Brands. Big sale going on in celebration of fall hitting. It's definitely hit this weekend here in the greater Milwaukee area. Save 35% site-wide on most everything with no promotion code needed through October 15th. Check out what's new at h5gbrands.com. Player movement and Game 4 coming up next. All right, as we're into game 4, we'll stay here on 5 through 8 for a few minutes as they get underway. Kent Maas Nabak on 5 and 6. Baron Gran Bears 7 and 8. Hey Josh, thanks. Appreciate you looking in. Good luck when you hit the lanes here at 2 p.m. Central Time for B Squad. So, here we go again. It took 3 games for somebody throws in there. String pins have dealt the final death blow to the sport. Please, elaborate. Have you bowled on them? Have you watched some of the best in the world battle over the last couple of weekends on them? Have you talked to league bowlers at Bowling Centers with these pins and their feelings about them? Please elaborate. I mean, you know, other than just your own narrow-minded opinion about these particular types of pins and the supposed death blow. I suppose if there would have been issues, we wouldn't have had 48 players in the field this weekend. We wouldn't have had 48 players in the field last weekend for these events. This particular bowling center, Foxy Lanes, has leagues 7 days and nights a week. Numerous honor scores bowled on them, including there's a young player you'll see bowling on B Squad, Matt Hibbard, PBA member who had an 800 series here earlier in the week during league. So please elaborate how these particular pins have already killed the sport. I would love to hear your reasoning behind that. You got to have some great reasons, right? Other than just your opinion. And okay. Rant over. Let's get back to the bowling. Let's get back to Marshall Kent, tearing them apart so far. 777. Kent hitting the slot machines for his first 3 games of 233, 246, and 298. Oh, Jeff Johnson sneaking in under an alias in the chat. Hope all's well down at Four Seasons Bowl. And Jumpin' Joe's down in Freeport, Illinois. I got to get down there again for Jumpin' Joe's Burger. My wife and I were actually just talking about that the other day when we made a trip past you last year and stopped into Jumpin' Joe's for lunch. Oh, best burgers in Northwest Illinois by far. If you're ever near Freeport, yeah, Four Seasons. Great burgers at Jumpin' Joe's inside of Four Seasons. Take a look here. Watch these pins reset on lane 7. You see the little curtain come down. Hides everything. And watch how on spot those pins are. I mean, you can see the pin spots on the deck. Have you ever seen a more uniform looking set of pins in your life? I think not. That's one thing talking to players like E.J. Tackett and Marshall Kent, Ronnie Russell last week is, you know, the amount of times that free fall pins were, you know, are off spot. And compared to what you see here on the string pins. And How about that, Messenger? How about that bounce? Thought there for a second that Barron was going to get a healthy Messenger there. Pin almost stood right back up and went from head on the left to head on the right. Didn't quite get to the 10, but that was pretty amazing. Look at the question in the chat. Yeah, bowlers actually still get 2 re-racks per game if they want them. It's going to be interesting as if these proceed for as often as, you know, these string pins are on spot. You know, it's going to be, you know, are they going to change it eventually from, you know, 2 re-racks to actually, you know, you get 2 timeouts. So, yeah, I have yet to see a bowler take a re-rack in a full weekend of the string pin regionals last weekend, and, you know, the first 3+ games here, I've yet to see a re-rack taken. I agree with you, Josh. Death of bowling, somebody closes the center. All of a sudden, somebody goes from having to drive 15 or 20 minutes to their closest bowling center to 45 or 50, and a lot of times that person just says, eh. Done. And there's multiple ways that affects the community when a center closes. It's usually a big social gathering place. I mean, here at Foxx Lanes, bands every Friday night, and charity fundraisers coming up in a couple of weekends. They're hosting another big charity fundraiser. So many things that bowling centers are part of the community for, and for the, let's say, I'm going to, you know, the higher talented player, whether it's, you know, sometimes those players don't look at the big picture. They just look at, well, I'm averaging 230 and things can't change. It's not good. Well, the bowling center's not there anymore to average 230 at, then, yeah, that's not good either. Hey, do us a favor, too. Those of you watching on YouTube, let people know on social media. Let them know on your Facebook or your X or your Insta, wherever, that you're watching some free bowling PBA regional action this weekend. And once again, thanks to our sponsors all season long with the PBA LBC National Championships. Get your tournament information at pba.com/LBC tournament. And H5G Brands, our other season-long sponsor, 35% off site-wide on most everything. Limited exceptions apply. No code needed through October 15th at h5gbrands.com. And again, this weekend, thanks for the support the last couple of weekends from longtime sponsor, BowlerX.com. They are supporting striking out breast cancer with your purchase. If you make a donation at BowlerX.com, for every $500 in donation, they'll do a raffle drawing, and that raffle winner will win a bowling ball, bowling bag, or shoes valued at up to $250. Thanks again to BowlerX.com and our local sponsors for the weekend include Master Machine Company, Certix Decorating, the Waukesha USBC, and, of course, our host center, Foxx Lanes. Always remember here at Foxx, we mentioned like live music every Friday night. We talk about bowling centers being community gathering places, and that is a prime example of it here. Sure, I'll admit I was opinionated at that point because I'm just tired of hearing the people that haven't gone in depth and seen what happens with bowlers and haven't talked to bowlers that have experienced these machines and that type of thing. I'm sick of the blind spew of bowling's dying, nothing's going to save it, this isn't going to help, that type of thing. I'm done with that. And I fight it with every breath I have in this sport. I've got televised bowling back on TV. If you have Marshall and Ronnie Russell on here on 5, 6, 7, and 8, you're getting entertained on the pair feed right now. They know the microphone's on for the camera there, and so we're on the Salvino pattern. I didn't say the opinions aren't relevant. It's uninformed opinions that aren't. If you've experienced it and you have an opinion on it, perfect. If you've bowled on them, if you've sat for a weekend on them, great. And by the way, it's not commentator. It's $2 Phil Brylow. You can ask pretty much anybody else, at least half the viewers that are watching right now that know me quite well, that even though I can't actively participate in the sport of bowling anymore due to some injuries and such. As I said, I fight tooth and nail for this sport. There's a reason why people are able to watch this live this weekend at no cost. Whoa, is Marshall Kent not even close on that spare attempt? There's other bowling to watch, sure, but some of it you're paying a subscription fee for if you're watching. Other ones don't have the star power that we honestly have here. Don't have the Marshall Kents, the Sam Cooleys, the Ronnie Russells, the EJ Hackett's, the Josh Blanchards, the AJ Johnsons. So if you don't like hearing me stick up for certain facets of this sport, you can always watch the pair feeds with the ambient audio. I mean, would I love to see free fall pin setters everywhere still? Absolutely. Is it something that's realistic in this day and age? No. When I was a kid, used to get hired in bowling centers, and they train you on working on the machines right away, and then again, every bowling center was full with 2 shifts of league Monday through Friday and a bunch of couples leagues on the weekends. And it was a little easier to make the money to get the payroll covered back then. Oh, Kenny Seymour's here. That's it. The day's over. No need to talk anymore. We got Kenny in the building. Kenny, hope you're feeling okay. Know you've been having some health issues again. Hope it's all good. String pins, yeah, they get tangled here and there, but the neat part about the string pins, in most cases, it will untangle itself. In the rare cases where there's human assistance needed, it will let somebody know. There's actually an app that QubicaAMF developed in conjunction with these edge pin setters that will notify the pertinent personnel of an issue on a lane, and it will actually walk them through on how to fix it. Can't do that with an 82 or 8270. I mean, I've worked on pin setters in the past. I mean, I was a pin chaser here and there. I managed a bowling center or two back in the day. Get some basic maintenance done, but when you're getting elbow deep, replacing belts and springs and motors and whatever, that's a whole different ball game. You know, where nowadays the app can walk you through fixing pretty much any problem with these Cubica Edge string pin setters. Not sure. I mean, there's other pin setter manufacturers on the market. Just these last couple of weekends, I've seen the QubicaAMFs. I don't know of any other brand installations around my area here in Wisconsin. The only ones I'm familiar with are QubicaAMF, but I know Brunswick develops, and I know US Bowling. There's a couple other ones, Funk Bowling out of Germany. So, I mean, they've been around for a while. It's just now to the point of getting the pinfall as close, keywords, as close as possible to free fall pins. And if you're there 99.995% of the time, no, guess what? In bowling, breaks still even out. Whether you get a good break, a bad break, whether it's a free fall or a string. All right, graphics guys, come on, get on the ball. It's already, we know it's game 4-8. Game 5 is the one that's going to be coming up next shortly. So we'll have Neil Stremmel in the booth coming up in game 5. He's the PBA Director of Rules and Equipment. You may have seen his latest bowling breakdown video this week with Andrew Anderson. It's on the PBA YouTube channel. So if you want to watch it between rounds, just go under videos. A couple of really good videos out there from the PBA this week, including a fun one they did with Kyle Troop. Remember each of his title match opponents in his career on the PBA Tour. You can see Kevin McCune's conversion of the 4-6-7-10 last week in Bluffton, Indiana. And the Friday 5 is always good as well. So check all those other videos out at PBA.com between blocks, as you're going to have some time between A Squad finishing up this morning and B Squad taking to the lanes. At 2 p.m. Central Time this afternoon. But, yeah, Andrew Anderson, he's got a great video out for everybody this week. Of course, with him being the regular season and Elias Cup Mark Roth MVP with those 5-player teams. Andrew's talk about maintaining focus during team bowling. Wonderful thing to see. And there you can see there. Well, look at that string. Almost wraps all the way around the 2-pin. And the 2-pin doesn't even flinch. And it's kind of a bad break there for Ryan Barron in the 10th frame. Player movement from game 4 to game 5. Simply just moving a pair to the right. So players you see here on 5 and 6 with Maas, Kent, and Naback will be right next door on 7 and 8. Barron, Grant, and Barris move over to the new feed on 9 and 10. So thanks to everybody that's double tabbing us today. Appreciate that. Be back with Neil Stremmel in Game 5 coming up in a few minutes. All right, here we go. Game 5 coming up. Reached the halfway point on the block. We'll get you a 4-game scoring update when Toby Contreras gets all the game scores calculated. And there you see Marshall Kent already getting a bit left on this 44-foot Salvino pattern. And there you see nothing near that 7-pin. For Kent. Kent, your leader after 3. With a plus 177 total. They had almost an 80-pin advantage over Chad Moss and Ryan Zagar. And a big drop back in the field. Barris, Russell, Cooley all between 46 and 33 over. After 3 games, we only had 13 of our 24 players in the field at a 200 average or better. And once again, this Carmen Salvino pattern. A couple players have figured it out early, but the man that really has figured it out has been Marshall Kent. Kent crossing with Chad Moss and Peyton Nabak. Moss after 3. As we mentioned, sitting at plus 98. Nabak not having a good day to this point. Nabak was minus 74 after 3 frames. Oh, there's the trip 4 for Moss. 2-pin does the job on the 4.
Seem to care about that.
All right, and bringing in Neil Stremmel. Neil, our mics are a little hot right now. I'm not sure what's going on. Let's bring that down a bit. I think we're a little bit better here.
All right, good.
There he is.
Testing 1 2.
Testing 1 2. Yeah, there he is. The director of rules and equipment for the PBA, Neil Stremmel.
Buenos dias.
And another weekend on the strings. QubicaAMF Edge pin setters. And casual observation from watching practice yesterday and having watched 4 games so far this morning is that the pinfall here at Foxview seems a little little livelier than we saw at Easy Bowl, but it also could probably be explained by the difference in when the machines were installed, because more play. Free fall pins are the same way. You got to break them in.
Yeah, it's the same kind of factors that you get with free fall. You got a different lane surface here. You got, the balls going through the pins a little bit differently here. So, yeah, just you're going to have different pin action. You're going to have possibly livelier pin action. And then add in the –
That's a big smile from Chad Moss right there. You see why on the trip 4. Sorry to interrupt you with that pinfall, but yeah, it's pretty neat to see the little bit of a difference. And every house has its own characteristics across the country. I mean, we know that when the PBA Tour goes to some places, some players are looking for the light hit more than anything because they know how much it scrambles. Other places, they know they're going to have troubles kicking out the 10 pins because the flat gutters seem like they're medieval moats.
Yeah.
And they'll just eat the 6 pin alive. So, it's neat seeing the different characteristics and seeing these players adjust. And one of the best players at adjusting so far has been Marshall Kent. I mean, 777 for his first 3. My goodness.
Yeah, he's got a big lead and throwing a ball well. I think we, have through 4 games here, we should have the update. But, Marshall's still got a, 80-pin lead or something like that, if I can read it properly.
Yeah, we're waiting on the 4-game update. When we get it from the tournament office, we'll give it to everybody. It's in. Let me put it in the comments section, the chat section again for everyone. There it goes, popped in the chat. That's your link, the R2 Sports link. That'll get you the game-by-game scoring as well. And this 44-foot pattern with the Carmen Salvino pattern, still different angles we're seeing these players take. We're seeing a lot of the lefties way out to the outside part of the lane, while we're seeing the righties not many as deep as Marshall Kent has been right now, but
noticeably deeper. Yeah,
definitely seeing the migration to the left for the right-handers.
Yeah, just like any tournament. Yeah, they're seeing the transition. They're seeing something where they need to keep moving in, whereas lefties. What do we have in this squad? 3.
We have Naback, we have Dowell, and I'm trying to remember. I think there's one more as well.
So those are the only 2 I was thinking of. So,
yeah, 2
anyways,
for sure.
2. So there's just a couple. So of course, they probably barely overlapped at this point. So there's really not much moving on that side of the lane, which is what we see, in bowling tournaments across the country, around the world. Lefties are like 16% or something like that. That's what I've seen in bowling. I think that seems to be about the norm in the real world. I don't know. I haven't looked that up, but
yeah,
that's what we see, and so it's just part of the deal, part of what we do in laying out patterns and doing testing, etc.
Not even a string left on the deck by Marshall Kent. It's like you talk about clearing the deck of everything. Kent's done it, and he continues to do it today.
Yeah,
so
he's on a 290 pace for this game, so he's been right there. Yeah, so here we have HPL, and last week we had Pro Lane, and I think it was version 1 Pro Lane, and so here this is just known to be a hookier surface. The surface here is in good shape. But because of the surface, we're actually using current oil, and that's allowing the pattern to kind of stay in place a little bit longer, and affects how the pattern will play a little bit. But that's really just part of the scenario that we have to deal with week in and week out when we're doing lane maintenance.
Yep.
And just that's then becomes part of our data, part of all the data entry that we have to deal with after each of these string pin events.
Yeah, and it's no different than any other week on the PBA Tour or the PBA Regional Tour. All the information that the bowler needs to have to make successful ball choices, equipment changes, surfaces, that type of thing, in order to try to knock down the most number of pins on the lane. And there you see for Naback, barely got the 6 as well, and a big open frame.
Yep. Yeah. So and Marshall will be on that lane next. So see if he can keep that string going.
All right, so here we go.
No pun intended.
Yeah. Well, actually, throw all the puns out there you want. That's Marshall.
Spare me your puns.
Spare me the puns. Marshall Ken. 208 in Game 4 has Ken at plus 185 overall. That's pretty much double the plus of what second place Ryan Zagar has, a plus 94. Chad Moss, you see going for that 10-pin conversion, covers it up nicely. Moss at plus 87. Matt Gasson, who runs the top-notch bowling pro shop here inside of Fox Lanes. Gasson fourth at plus 77. Kevin McCune trying to turn around a rough week last week in Bluffton. Other than a big 4 conversion for McCune, wasn't much to talk about. McCune at plus 72 in fifth. Dave Bear is sixth at plus 64. Brent Dowell seventh, plus 56. Sam Cooley, boy, that 156 game in Game 3 got Sam pretty good. Sam's still hanging tough at plus 47 in eighth. Ronnie Russell ninth at plus 39. Benji Martinez at plus 34 in 10th. So just 11 of our 24 players to the positive here. But that's a scoring pace on the Salvino pattern. Wow, as Dowell goes exit stage left.
Yeah, there's been a few of those. I saw plenty in practice as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're trying to play it. He's trying to play it, out wide. And, you're going to pay the price a time or two. That's just nature of the game.
Yep.
Yeah, McCune is up on lane 3. I like his plan, his entry angle. He's got a lot of power and speed, and then he's really just piping it and keeping it tight and able to carry quite often by doing that. That speed and rev rate, but speed dominant in this case, as a typical McCune would be. So he's I like his plan and his entry angle into the pocket. That's one thing the string pins will do is, carry the 10-pin. It seems like you have to be, flush, high flush. That's what we keep hearing from a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
And, and your angle through the pocket, through the pins, is really critical. And I guess that's why I've been watching him, and that stands out to me, the way he's throwing it right now.
And talking to some of the players last week in Bluffton as we were packing up, the one thing that was said by multiple bowlers is that, on tour and in a lot of tournaments and everything, bowlers can get away with the half pocket hit where they're going to leave the weak 10 because they know the messenger in most cases is going to come back over, take it out. So instead of a shot they maybe would move off of right away, well, they just make a subtle move because they know, okay, if they weak 10 again, they're going to get another messenger. You can't count on that with these particular edge pin setters. And
if you're leaving that 10-pin, you almost need to move right away. You need to make an adjustment right away. It's just, that's all there is to it. You're not going to just stay in that same spot and start carrying magically,
Right.
It needs an adjustment, and they're realizing that, and they know that.
So
Kent went high on that one, so,
Yeah, so the neat part, we saw in the corner on lane 11 where the notification, you could see the pin setter turn red, the light turn red to let everybody know that, hey, we have a tangle, it's going to be untangled. And then pin setter saw the current come down, saw it come back up, and here we go. No human intervention needed, and we've got 10 pins back on the deck. So it's pretty neat. I hope that a lot of people, if they get string pin setters in their bowling centers at the proprietors, take them back and let them see how these machines work, because they're just, to me, it's fascinating, and I'm not even a mechanically inclined person. It was fun to watch and see, hey, and here's EJ Tackett last week in Bluffton going, I can change this in this quick a time, and if this happens, we can fix it this quick. It was just amazing to hear that from EJ about how it's made his life as a proprietor easier just on even the maintenance end of things.
Yeah, obviously, from a PBA perspective, I can talk about, the research and the data and how we're looking at it. I can talk about that in a few minutes. But,
right.
You cannot ignore or deny the fact that a center like this, a 16-lane center, if you have free fall pins and you need a mechanic, either the proprietor is the mechanic and then, he or she never gets a day off and it just wears on you. Mm-hmm. Or you got 16 lanes, but there's not a lot of mechanics left out there, and they're getting fewer and fewer, and it's just hard to get somebody that's any good to be your guy. And so not a good break there.
Wow, you just saw the pin actually spin a little bit on top of it, too, from the pin being hit, and then
didn't fall.
No assistance from any other forces, so, yeah, it stayed there.
So, yep, it'll get reset, back on the 4 spot.
Yep.
That's part of the situation here. It's really no different than if a free fall pin setter, touched or knocked down a pin. It, no matter where, if it slid halfway between the 4 and the 5 or whatever, and gets knocked down by the pins by the deck.
Right.
It gets put back in its original spot. So it's really the same scenario.
Well, here's a question for you, too, and I can't believe this didn't pop in my head till this week, but USBC rule is when a ball triggers the machine, it's 4 seconds until the table can come down. Now, I assume it's the same 4 seconds before the strings can engage and pull up here once the ball enters the back of the machine?
Yes, exactly. So the shield will start to come down, and the pins will start to go up there like tied together at 4 seconds. So you might see that a pin is, halfway down, but then the shield starts to come down and the strings start to go up. So, something might look weird with that pin, but it's not down yet. It's really the same as the pin setter hitting that pin and knocking it down. So that pin would get put back in place because it got acted on by an outside force, and it's dead. It's a dead ball at that time, or a dead pin at that time, and you stand it back up. So it's really it's the same thing. It's just maybe not as clear or obvious, but it's still the same amount of time.
So a pin would actually have to literally be flat on the pin deck after the 4 seconds to be recognized as fallen by these machines.
Yeah, as long as the pin is down. Basically, if it's pulled the string far enough that it recognizes the pin as being down, then it will count it as being down.
Perfect.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes full sense. So, yeah, it's just neat, what sensors do these things have? Hey, that doesn't have free fall, too, where the 7 just slides off and still stands up in the flat gutter. So, yeah, it's amazing to see where these machines have come from 5, 6, 7, 9 years ago. Because there's near us, there's an installation in basically a recreational setting where it's bowling and bumper cars and all kinds of stuff, and they've got the older Qubica models that have, as our friend Jeff Rickles likes to say, carnival strings on them. You can definitely tell the difference in pinfall between these certified machines, and there's 2 modes that these machines can be in on, and you can tell right away with your trained eye if it's going to be Carnival or USBC. But others that come in the building might not know the difference, like open play bowlers, they might not know the difference. There's less tangles with shorter string lengths, so they put them at the recreational setting. And then for competitions such as this or USBC-certified leagues, there's the USBC setting on the pin setters, which allows for the much longer string length.
Exactly. So at center desk, when they put it in whichever mode, USBC mode or recreational mode, it says on the monitor at center desk which mode it's in. So they know which mode they're putting it in, so they don't accidentally put it in recreational mode during a league or tournament that's needs to be certified. And so here we are, we're in USBC mode, so it's because it's a certified event. And so then the string lengths are allowed to be longer, and they're just much more like free fall pins because the strings are allowed to come out, and be longer. If it's a recreational mode, the strings are much shorter, and by having the strings come out a shorter amount, you get less tangles. And so during recreational mode, when it's just fun play on Friday night or whatever, then you don't want tangles. You don't want to have to deal with that because it's just for fun. And so by being in that recreational mode, you don't have to work on the machines, work on the tangles very often, and it's what you're looking for as a proprietor.
Moss has that trip 2 pin down That's his third one on lane 7 this game. You can tell by the big smile on his face. He's feeling it right now in this game.
Yeah, he's definitely been bowling well, and he's got another good game going.
So a good question. Somebody posed in the chat, why have any other mode for the pin setters? Basically because if you can get more bowlers bowling more games in recreational mode, that's pretty much an easy point right there. It's right, okay, you can bowl by the hour. People get more games in by the hour if the strings are a little shorter and things set up a little bit quicker. And yeah,
if it's recreational mode and you're paying by the hour, you don't want it to break down and take an extra, even couple of minutes for somebody to come fix it. So, that allows recreational mode, open play to just be faster and quicker and easier and less problems. And since it's not for score or money or anything important, the proprietors are like, this is perfect.
Yeah. Hey, you want to stick around for another game?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, we're going to take a little break here on the audio part of the program. If you get questions for Neil, drop them in the chat. I need to apparently go check my PBA Bible because apparently string pins are absolute blasphemy. So I didn't know there was a PBA Bible out there anyway. Let me check the PBA 10 Commandments for that. Game 6 coming up next. Game 6 underway here from Fox View Lanes. And once again, I want to thank our season-long sponsors with the PBA LBC National Championships. Get your tournament information at pba.com/LBC tournament. If you're a previous LBC National Championship bowler or a Bolero LBC member, you can enter now. General public opens up December 1st for those entries. And H5G brands save 35% site-wide through October 15th on most everything at h5gbrands.com. I'm $2 Phil Brilo. He is Neil Stremmel, a.k.a. DJ Neon White, for those of you that know the alternate personality of one Neil Stremmel. And Neil, there was a point brought up in the chat. It's been brought up ad nauseum for months now about how string pins are the death of bowling. Things are going to change.
I've heard that once before. Multiple times actually.
Right. How many things in the course of bowling have been said that it's going to be the death of bowling as we know it?
Yeah, I mean, I understand people's perspective. Definitely that this is different. This is a change. Strings aren't perfect, et cetera, et cetera. I get it. I totally get it from a purist bowling point of view. I totally get it. But I remember when WIBC approved synthetic lanes. So this was in the 80s, and it took a while for them to really start to take hold. So they became popular early 90s, mid 90s. They started going in a lot. And, people said, I'll never bowl on those plastic lanes. And, I can't tell you how many times I heard that back in the day. But looking back, I can tell you, where would bowling be? Think about this. Where would bowling be had, synthetic lanes never been approved? Like, it's not the same. They don't play the same as wood, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we can just go on and on. And so if you think about it from that perspective, the number of wood centers that moved to synthetic, like, would they still even exist? The number of new centers that got built that, you're building a 50, 60 lane center, like if wood was the only option, like they just wouldn't have built those centers. Like,
right.
I mean, I can't tell you how many centers wouldn't exist today if synthetic lanes hadn't been approved. And the attitude was very similar at that time. Now, I'm not trying to be pro strings. I'm just trying to give some perspective. You have to be open and think about it. And, I wouldn't be surprised if 20 years from now we were saying the same thing about string pin setters. Like, where would the game be today if they weren't approved by USBC?
Right.
So, the amount of mechanics available are just getting less and less. They're getting older and retiring or dying, and there just aren't that many young kids that are excited to be a mechanic nowadays. And it's just not a scenario that's just going to have a long-term positive outlook. So this is a logical option, a logical step, especially if you got a smaller center and you just can't afford or find a mechanic. You just, as a logical person, as a bowler, you just have to realize this is something that needs to be looked at. And that's all the PBA is doing. First of all, we're having these tests because we want to look at this.
Yeah.
We're going to evaluate the data, and I can talk about how I'm going to go through all that. But, a lot of the comments I've seen out there are just saying how, for lack of better terms, how stupid or crazy the PBA is for doing this. Well, we haven't done anything. We're doing a test. So are we crazy for doing a test? I mean, that seemed, again, I'm an engineer, so that's the first logical step. You don't just accept, what you're told. You verify it, you test it, and that's what we're doing.
Right.
So.
I mean, you see these comments all the time of because there's a string in the pin, they don't fall or in a natural way. Well, I can go down to Holler House on 21st and Lincoln, about 25 minutes away from here, with hand-set pins and old wood lanes, and I guarantee you the pins don't fall anywhere near natural down there as compared to free fall pin setters anywhere else.
Yeah, they don't even sound normal when you go down there. Yeah,
right. Ask Tommy Jones and Jason Belmonte about that. The looks they had when they walked in for USA versus the World in 2023, like, wow, here we are. That's bowling. It's certified. They're the oldest certified lanes in the country.
Yeah,
oiled by hand. Oiled by hand, and you bowl there, and it's like, yeah, those pins aren't natural either, but enough people still go down there and bowl. They have leagues down there. Does that mean these people's leagues average shouldn't count? I don't think so. It's certified competition. It's just, it's just nobody's jumping to conclusions here. I mean, when I first saw string pin setters, I was like, yeah, okay, it might be. And watching this more and more and getting here, you have a player like Sam Cooley that's been everywhere in the world. Yeah. You have a player like E.J. Tackett that's been everywhere in the world. Marshall Kent travels all over the place, and to hear their reactions and their breakdown of what they're seeing with these pins, I would trust their judgment
more than my own.
100% more, than anybody, especially because these are the guys that are taking home pretty large paychecks while making a living just as bowlers. I mean,
yeah, they've seen a lot around the world, a lot of bowling centers around the world, a lot of different styles that they've seen, and a lot of different styles that these guys, have.
Right.
Two-hander, one-hander. Sam Cooley's release is very unique. It's like, so if these people can, Ronnie Russell's in this crowd also, and we've had some discussions about him, and about pin setters, and. Yeah, that's part of the whole process. This tournament is not for a title, not a PBA title. It's not for points. So, let us do our job. Let us do our diligence, and read my report whenever it comes out, and explain yay or nay and why, and then we can go from there.
Hey, good to see Championship Bowling in the chat. They do some pretty good live streaming events they run out west. They just had a big event last weekend as well. He types in, remember when the bowling industry chose to focus on family fun over competition when AMF marketed always mean fun? Mm-hmm. I remember, bowling, ever since bowling got out of the dark ages and got automatic pin setters and such, in the 50s, that's when you saw a lot more families getting out to bowl and youth bowlers. That's when youth bowling programs really started. Back in the day, AJBC, American Junior Bowling Congress, that didn't start till the 50s, correct? If I remember correctly.
I was a member of AJBC, but it wasn't in the 50s.
Right.
I don't know when it started.
It started, back then. So, they've always had family marketing and that type of thing. And now that's what you have with a lot of, let's say, non-certified bowling centers. Yeah. You get a lot of your round ones and your main events and that type of thing, and they're marketing the family fun now. So, and to keep up, if you're a 16-lane bowling center like this in a metropolitan area, you got to do something to market yourself, not just do league bowlers. They'll fill your house for 3 hours every night for 6 or 7 nights a week, but when you're open for 14 hours a day, you got to do something to help keep those other 14 hours busy as well. Yeah,
it has to be a combination of both. A lot of centers try to be just recreational only, and they can have, depending on where you're at, you can have success doing that. But even Bolero learned that hey, we need to do both. We need to do our best to fill it during the week. Mm-hmm. With leagues, and then have the open play on the weekends, and it's two different customer bases, and it's two different types of bowlers, two different types of customers, and they have to be able to deal with both. And so it's one of the settings, or two. That's the two settings on the string pin machine. You got approved, a USBC approved mode, and you got recreational mode.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you want me to talk about the data and how we're going to evaluate these pin setters, I can start. And
sure, you have the floor, sir.
Okay, all right, pretty exciting. So it's not about scoring. USBC already did plenty of work from a scoring standpoint. They have a machine called Bowl Score. They did other things out in the field to look at scoring. And it's nothing that I'm going to spend my time on because it's scoring is too easily impacted by other things, especially the lane pattern. I can affect scoring many ways. So it's not really about scoring. It's about pinfall and logical pinfall. And so a way to look at that is we've got data from the PBA National Tour from all of 2024, and those were all on free fall machines. And so, so I have a ton of data from that from earlier this year. And then with these string pin tournaments, we're going to take the data and we're going to look at what spares were left. So, like, I'm looking at a 210, a 10, and a 410 right now out there. And so, we're keeping track of every one of those that's left. And I can compare how many 10 pins percentage-wise were left on string pins versus how many 10 pins percentage-wise were left on free fall during the national tour. And I can look at, how many 210s and how many 410s and how many 3/6 10s, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, string didn't take it out, huh?
Yeah, prime example right there. You see the string late in front of the 10.
Yep. So that way we'll be able to compare how often each pin or series of pins, each spare, how often it's left. And if something is left way more often or way less often than free fall, it's going to stand out. I'm going to be able to be like, okay, a 10 pin was left on the national tour, and I'm making these numbers up. On the national tour, is left 10% of the time.
Yeah.
It wasn't probably that much. But if all of a sudden on string pins it's left 20% of the time, we'd be like, what the heck's going on? Why is it left so much more?
Right.
Or if it's only left 5% of the time, half as often, same thing. Why is it only left half of the time? Is it just too easy to knock it down? And so I'll do that with every spare combination out there that's left and just compare the percentages and try to figure out what's going on with that. And we'll have discussions about anything that's left out there that's just too often or not often enough.
Is there a certain percentage of error, I guess they say what they say, percentage of error that is built into like surveys and that type of thing? Is there some type of margin of error that is going to be built into this as well? Yeah,
so there'll be, this is a smaller sample size that we're looking at with these three main tests. And I'll be able to, say a couple of percent or a percentage of the percentage, basically, of how often something is left. And if it's, so let's say it's the 10 pin and it's typically left 10% of the time on free fall. If it's 12% or 8%, it's probably not going to stand out as anything majorly different. But as soon as you start getting further away from that, those spares are going to stand out as something unique. And when it's something unique, then we're going to look at it and focus on it. And I'll have a whole list, a whole database of what's left and what's left in each of these tournaments. And then similarly, we will look at the spare percentages of those. So everything that was left, how often was it made? So, for example, a washout, that's one thing that's talked about a lot, that, if you just wrap the 1 around the 10 for a right-hander, and the string will take out the 10 every time. Well, I know that's not the case because I've already looked at it from previous tournaments, but it's the kind of thing that we will look at. And if something looks percentage-wise like too much easier or harder to make than normal, again, we'll look at it. And of course, there's going to be anomalies, and really it's going to come down to, does it matter? Do those anomalies matter to us? As the elite level of the sport, the PBA wants to make sure it's still fair, it's still logical.
Right.
Things, make sense. And, if it's important and it matters, like, we're going to say something and we're going to either require a change before we accept it or not accept it. So, that's really what it's going to come down to. And I can't say what's going to happen yet because I don't have all the data yet. And going to take some time to go through it all and talk through it all. But hopefully that makes sense. That's what the plan is. So it's what's left and how often, and what's made spare-wise or not made and how often, and just doing those comparisons to free fall.
Yep. And of course, somebody's questioning the game rate. Like, do the string pins on the recreational mode, how much faster are they to get a game in than strings in the USBC-certified mode? I don't have that time information. I know it's faster. I know they've talked about it. They had a bunch of proprietors here yesterday. QubicaAMF to show off the string pin setters, the potential clients, and I know it was brought up. I don't remember the exact amount of time, but they did say it was a bit faster.
Yeah, it is. It is faster. There are some QubicaAMF people here, for some questions just like that. But from what I've seen, as we play these games out, it does seem to be, so we're bowling 6 games, and I don't want to say it's a full 5 minutes per game, but it's 3 to 4 anyways.
Yeah.
And you bowl 6 games, like that kind of stuff would add up. So we're still bowling on USBC approved mode.
Okay.
And there's still some tangles, and we still have those issues just like you have with free fall. Seems to be, I guess it depends on the center, but it seems to be fairly minimal. But then, like last night they bowled the Pro-Am, and it just seemed like it was noticeably faster. Whether that, I don't think it's 5 minutes, but it adds up over time. So sorry, I don't have a total answer on that, but just logic and common sense will tell you it's definitely a few minutes, but it's not like 5 or 10 minutes per game.
Okay.
It's a few.
Yep. Let's see. I'm not getting a paycheck from QubicaAMF. You're not getting a paycheck from QubicaAMF, so please stop saying that we're promoting these machines. No, we're passing our observations along about these machines.
And we just happen to be bowling on QubicaAMF string pin machines because they're the ones that came to us and said, hey, we want to have, PBA events on our machines, and so we said, well, we would have to do some testing.
Right.
USBC's done their testing, and they've accepted it. And their testing, USBC's testing included, a Brunswick version of this, US Bowling, Funk. I think there's a Chinese brand that they're dealing with. So, they've done that. This is the only one we've been testing so far. I have had requests from Brunswick and US Bowling to have tournaments as well, and we would do, a separate tournament because I know there's some differences. And again, when you get to the elite level, when you're talking like top 1%, you want to make sure that there's nothing different or unique going on, even though USBC's approved them all. It'd be like an 8270 gets approved, and so we just approve the GSX machine because it's a free fall machine.
Right.
We wouldn't do that. We would want to do a test, and so this is the same thing. We'll do a test on each brand, and we just happen to be doing QubicaAMF first because they came to us first, wanting to run events in our tournaments.
Yeah. And since somebody wants to misquote me in the chat from last week, yes, Kyle Troop did pick up a super washout in the first game of the step ladder. Yes, I did say the head pin hit the 10 pin. I didn't say anything about anything else. All I said was you guys are going to Zapruder film the rest of that frame.
Yeah.
Because, yes, there was an instance, and it did look like on review that there was no contact made by a pin on the 6 pin, and it fell. And in these situations right now that we're in, these players know that there's no review process. There's no, that got knocked down by a string, therefore it doesn't count. These players are all on the same playing field with that. If something happens where there is a string-aided pinfall, it counts, correct?
Yeah, so did it fall or did it not fall? That's really what we're looking at.
Right.
And I could say the same thing. I mean, I've gotten a strike without hitting the head pin before, So it happens on free fall. It happens on string pins.
Sure.
Again, it goes back to is it acceptable? Is it within the window? And if there's a little bit of extra help with strings, talking to the players, there's definitely, there's very limited messengers. There's, a lot more corner pins get left. And so is it an offset of that? So that from a USBC standpoint, did the scoring end up, close or close enough? That's, I guess, my personal opinion. Nothing, no data behind that, but I just feel like, that's kind of how it lays out. One makes up for the other a little bit.
Sure. And we just saw something quirky right there for Martinez. I mean, that pin was rolling back across the deck, and it kind of tangled in the string and kind of stopped quick. Did that pin have enough momentum if it was free fall to knock the 9-pin down? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. We won't know, but as we said, these bowlers know what they're getting into when they paid the entry fee. They're going to get good breaks, they're going to get bad breaks, and unfortunately in that case for Martinez, it could be a bad break. So it is what it is in this case.
Yeah, and so sometimes maybe the pin doesn't hit it and the string pulls it down. I mean, we've all seen it. I'm not going to hide from it and say that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So, that's part of it, and that's part of our evaluation. If that happens too often, it will stand out in the data.
Right.
If it happens like too often in certain situations, it'll stand out in the data, and we'll take a look at it.
That time the ball hits the 9. No need, no worries. He threw it better.
Yeah.
And that's the one comment you do get from quite a few of these PBA players is
throw it better.
It kind of forces you to throw it a bit better. You can't get you can't get sloppy with it. So, yeah. So we're wrapping up Game 6. If you want to sit in for one more, Neil, I'll be happy to have you. If you got observations you have to make, I'll let you escape the booth.
All right. No, yeah, I'm able to kind of watch from here, and if anybody has any more questions, but from a data standpoint, I kind of covered what I'm doing, what PBA's decided to do to look at, and we'll go from there.
All right, sounds good. We've got 6 games finishing. Your leader still after 5 games is Marshall Kent, as Kent's just been piling on, plus 216. 3 other players at plus 100 or better for the first 5. So not a humongous scoring pace, but there's still some players in contention to make the top 16 for tomorrow, such as Ronnie Russell and Sam Cooley. So we'll have to see where they end up.
Sounds great.
B Squad will start at 2 o'clock. We've got a couple more games to go here on A Squad for the PBA Foxx Lanes Midwest Open. And we want to thank our sponsors on board for this event that sponsor a lot of things here at Foxx Lanes, and that includes the Master Machine Company, along with the Waukesha USBC, and Certix Decorating, and of course our host center. Catch them every Friday night for some live music here at Foxx Lanes. Check out the schedule, foxviewlanes.com, and Game 7.
And this is 10 on the deck.
Hey, why not? Let's stay on 7 and 8. We get some pretty cool close-ups of these QubicaAMF Edge string pin setters, and here's our host proprietor, Stefan Hanen, on lane 8. Oh, no string taken out of 10 there. That was nothing but 3 and 6 pin. Taking things down. I'm $2 Phil Brylow. We'll get Neil Stremmel back in the booth momentarily. And we'll get you a 6-game scoring update when that comes across the wire. B Squad takes to the lanes at 2 p.m. Central Time today. If you have questions for Neil, drop them in the chat.
All right.
Hey, Neil.
And here we are again.
Any bowlers accost you between games about what's going on with these particular QubicaAMF Edge pin setters, or are they just going with the flow and worried about their own bowling?
Most of them are going with the flow, but luckily I'm bigger than most of them, so like they're not giving me too hard of a time. I'm getting pretty old now, though, so I don't know. I used to be able to outrun anybody, but it's probably not the case anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So, yeah, questions for Neil, dump them in the chat. Scotty Thompson, yeah, nobody's throwing plastic on this much lane oil. I mean, you compare the lane oil, we talked too about synthetic lanes. Let's talk about lane oil volumes compared to 1980 when synthetics started coming out to today. I mean, there's a lot of difference in lane oil volumes. I know we got one of the experts in lane maintenance and lane oiling, Eric Pearson, in the building helping out this weekend. Thanks, Eric, for doing that as well.
It's good to have him here. He's the PBA lane maintenance lane man, and we use him out on tour, and as well at the PBA 50. He was out for that tour, the whole tour as well. So he now that those are done, he's back home again, and so I pulled him in for this too because nobody better.
Well, you just mentioned PBA 50, so let's before we get into we'll go back to the oil topic. And actually, let's talk about the oil first, and then I'll talk about the PBA 50 that was at Lehigh Lanes back in May, I believe that was for a string pin event there.
Yeah.
Too. But oil on the lanes, I mean, there's like 5 times as much oil on the lanes now as there was back in 1980, and that's why the bowling balls have adapted to the lane oils that have been used, and the amount of lane oil that has been used.
Or vice versa. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to say which came first, chicken or the egg. But they keep advancing. Both sides keep advancing, and it gets tougher and tougher to protect the lane and get enough oil in the pattern out there to defend against the continuing aggressive bowling balls. So it's it goes both ways. We are using Current. This is not an oil we use very often. Usually, if we're using Kegel, it's Fire, Ice, or Curve. Usually Fire, Curve if it's house shot. Most people are using that. Out on tour, we'll use Ice a little more often or combinations thereof. But this is Current this week, and this center is. Got HPL. It's a good hooking surface. It's in pretty good shape, and but Current is a good choice for it to get the ball, help the ball get down the lane, and not hook immediately or hook too much. So that's kind of the choice this week, and it's the Salvino pattern. It's about 31 point something mils, and in the 80s, it was probably like 7 mils, 8 mils, 6 mils. So it's quite different. If we run like a plastic event, or Gary Beck runs his event, he's using somewhere between 6 and 8 mils, and you really need to be using plastic ball for those events, or your ball's going to be in the left gutter for a right-hander. So that's definitely been quite an evolution in both bowling ball technology and lane maintenance and lane oil technology over the past 40 years.
Here's somebody throwing. They know you're a bowling geek. So the trivia question is, it's coming from Bull Freeport, so you know who that's coming from. First PBA or PBA 50 player to throw a strike in PBA competition. Well, PBA competition 1959, obviously the Empire State Open. I know who won it. I don't know who threw the first strike in that competition, but I knew it was Wrong Foot Lou Campy who won that event.
That's who won it? Yeah, so
Yeah.
I would be guessing. So unfortunately,
Right.
I'm not that big of a geek, and I'd be guessing like Carmen Salvino or Don Carter or something.
Right,
like that.
yeah. I guess Carmen Salvino, just on the basis of why not. I mean, Carmen, I haven't seen Carmen in about a year or so.
Yeah, actually,
ran into him in Illinois last year in 2023, but
actually, if it was Carmen, sorry to interrupt. If it was Carmen Salvino, he probably would have already told me that. So I'm not going to guess Carmen Salvino because he would have told me that at some point over the last 20 years that I've known him.
I threw the first ever strike at the Empire State Open. I hopped up on the approach before anybody got finished with announcements, and I threw that strike because I knew I was going to throw it.
So maybe I'll go with like Dick Weber. He would be very humble about it and wouldn't tell me. So that'd be my guess. I don't know if. Hopefully you can tell me what that answer is because now I'm curious and
we'll wait for that to pop into the chat. But I do what used to be a radio show. Now it's a podcast. Bruce for the Spare Time Bowling Show on 12:50 a.m. here in Milwaukee. And remember one time we had Carmen on. We had Bo Burton on before Carmen, and that was a mistake because all Carmen could talk about for the first 7 minutes he was on about how many times he handed Bo Burton his ass during PBA competition. There you see the string leaning on the 10. Yeah. Didn't take it down. So, once again,
it's interesting.
It's neat watching the progression of these machines because probably if that was last night during using the recreational mode during the 9-pin tap Pro-Am, you wouldn't need the 9-pin tap. You would have had that one knock over. Either way, you're getting credit for the strike in 9-pin tap, but for a fun event like that, it was perfect.
But yeah, that's a good example of using the longer strings. That's what USBC tested and concluded with, having 54-inch strings instead of 40-something-inch strings, and so they're more like free fall. They don't knock it over as often. However, USBC has said that if a string knocks over a pin, it counts.
Yep.
So that's was part of their ruling and discussion. I think it would be too many arguments or too many issues if you're trying to check that out every time, and they don't have instant replay like we do.
Our question's been qualified. The trivia question was set to us first on strings, so they're going back to the Lehigh Lanes event. Darn, that was a good discussion about all the bowlers of the Empire State Open. I mean, with the PBA being over. Well, this will be 65th season coming up in 2025. So amazing. So who would have been at Lehigh Lanes? I know Walter Williams Jr. won that event over Ryan Schaefer. That I remember seeing. I don't know who would have thrown the first one.
Yeah, I'm thinking it might have been somebody from Freeport since he's since he's thrown it out there.
Yeah, or one of his good friends.
I can't remember if he bowled the first squad there or not. Yeah. So
could be a Gary Allstott. Could be a Chris Keene, Chris owner and PBA member of Lehigh Lanes. I'm going with Chris Keene. I'm going to go with Chris. I'm going to go with the owner.
I'm going to go with Jeff Johnson.
All right. So we'll see when we get that answer in the chat.
All right.
So that's pretty good. So we met talking about PBA 50 in Lehigh Lanes. Are there any direct pinfall comparisons that can be made? Because obviously with the PBA 50 players, most of them are going to have lower ball speeds. Most of them are going to have lower rev rates than what we see out here in the standard division of PBA regional competition. So are there any comparisons that you can make using that data and then comparing that to this data and then comparing everything to national tour data from the season?
Yeah, that's a good point because when we wanted to test these string pin machines, we wanted to have one of them be on a PBA 50 event. Mm-hmm. And again, because a lot of comparisons have been made between these machines and kind of some old school bowling, and so we wanted to go with lower ball speed, lower rev rate, less overall power, I guess I'll put it. Yep. And and it was an interesting event, and a lot of them, very high percentage of them, said they enjoyed it and they liked that event and liked bowling on the string pins because it did remind them of, 20, 40 years ago.
Right.
So, yeah, having that individual data, I will be able to compare that individual data to this week and last week, where we have many of the top pros and their high, ball speed and rev rate. And so again, if there's anything that stands out that's weird and unique, I'll be able to pull that out and take a look at it and say, okay, this is the scenario. We talked last week about pins and using heavier pins, and there was a big difference between seniors, women, and children on those heavier pins versus anybody who had a higher ball speed and higher entry angle. And that was a reason way back when that we didn't switch to heavier pins. And so it's the same kind of thing we're looking at here.
Okay.
Not heavier pins, obviously, but just the different ball speed and rev rate versus what you're looking at this week and last week.
Marshall Kent running into some trouble this game. Only one strike through 6 frames. Now he's looking at his third split of the game. Kent, currently your leader at plus 271 after 6. Chad Maas second, plus 195. Zagar third, plus 131. McCune up to fourth at plus 122. David Bear is fifth at plus 121. Dahl, Gasson, Switalski, Martinez, and Hainan round out the top 10 on the squad. However, we're taking 16 tomorrow. Obviously, everybody's going to be kind of looking at about where 7th, 8th place is at right now. 7th place currently Matt Gasson, 212 average, plus 72. And how about that?
Nice cover.
And that's one of those ones where I don't think anybody's doubting pin contact.
Yeah.
On all 5 pins.
Correct.
And that's something, too, where the bowlers have the ability, and you mentioned it during roll call on A squad, you'll mention it during roll call on B squad, is that if a bowler does see something they think is a questionable pinfall, they can bring it to your attention for review for this research. You're not changing anything on a result out on the lanes, obviously, but for the research, it's going to be good for that, where all of a sudden, let's say Marshall questions something on that, he can bring it to your attention, and then you would have that for your review in the future as well. So it's not like the players are just guinea pigs out here. They have, their ability to provide feedback not just to you, but to QubicaAMF as well.
Exactly. So if they see anything weird or unique, we've got cameras on every pair. You're able to help us out and, pull up, certain videos of, oh, that was weird or that was unique, or, they weren't happy with it, or they, saw, something that was completely lucky and or string pin, string affected. So, we're able to grab those and hang on to those, and I plan to try to utilize some of those videos in the analysis, and, if I can get some links put into the report, I'll put some links in there. But it's something that they're able to, bring to my attention, not to mention we will send Toby Contreras, who's the tournament director here, he will send on Sunday a link to a survey monkey for all the players, and they can, give me their opinion on, whether a string helped or hurt them, and any specific examples, or if their just overall feeling was yay or nay. And it's it's like 8 or 10 questions in there and comments allowed, and I will compile that as well as the actual data. So that's part of the process, getting their feedback, getting their input, and taking that into consideration.
So you've got you are correct on that answer in Bull Freeport. Not being very humble. Yeah, okay. Don't blame me on that one, though, Jeff. No doubt about it. So
he probably said something to me at the time, and I just can't remember. So
yeah. Somebody making a mention about how the new scoring systems have animation, all kinds of fun stuff. They do have that in the system just for our tournament purposes. If we're bouncing animations around all the time, It's just tough with the scoreboards in competition. It's not something the players are really looking for in competition at this level. So that's why you just see the static scoreboards. But if you come out here with your family and have a little fun, you'll see the bouncing clowns around and the pins bouncing around. They have various types of animations built into this scoring system. So don't take what we're doing here during a PBA event as what actually isn't possible in the center. They have the possibility of having all kinds of fun interactions, games. Last night during the Pro-Am, they had the prize train, and it's a train that goes across all the scoring monitors and until it stops on a lane, and then that particular lane, if the bowler got up and got a strike, or in this case with 9-pin tap got 9 or a strike, they won a prize. So it was pretty, so they had a fun thing that everybody in the house was involved with at the same time. So there's all that animation stuff. We just don't use it during a PBA regional event, just to keep the scoreboards clean for the fans to watch. Everybody wants to know the scores, so that's basically why that's there.
Yeah, it just feels more professional that way.
Yeah.
But, we're obviously not against fun, but, it's just more professional.
Yeah.
And, there's these pin setters will hook up with virtually any scoring system out there. So any of the scoring systems that you've seen basically will work with these pin setters. So whatever you've seen before is something that's out there that can still be used. So my favorite is the PBA players when they, you get a ham bone or something, they come out and tell you that, or you leave a washout and they show somebody jump up and do that, or they show Doherty if you don't shoot 100, or something like that.
Rob Stone just sent me a bill for saying hambone on air. Great. All right, we'll take care of that, Rob. Don't worry about it. I know. The agreement was I have to call it the Rob Stone pork product on air. That's fine. So.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, I was unaware.
So, Neil, thanks for sitting with us for a couple of games. We'll get you back in here on B Squad. If you get more questions for Neil, throw them in the chat on B Squad. And player movement, they're going to be moving in Game 8, just moving a pair to the right, so pretty easy for everybody to find. And we'll finish off with our leaders with Marshall Kent and Chad Moss.
They'll be on 3 and 4.
Yeah, we'll move down to 1 and 2 right now. We'll finish the game coverage with them. And Neil, thanks for taking the time with us in the booth. It's always appreciated.
No problem. Thank you. And let me know out there if you guys got any other questions about rules or equipment.
Yeah, sounds good. Game 8 coming up next on the PBA Foxx Lanes Midwest Open.
Thank you.
Wait for it to get closer.
All right, back with our final game. We'll get you 7-game scoring update shortly. I'm going to try to do a little whimsy doodle here. Let's see if we can pull this off. Give me a moment, because we have said something kind of unique that we talked about a little bit with Neil Stremmel. And I just need to work some magic here. It's always good having YouTube for us, so we can kind of use it as a DVR, which is always kind of cool. We're going to do that right now. Get you that 7-game scoring update when it comes across the wire in a few minutes. Toby Contreras out gathering scores, working hard. I'll tell you what, some of the most underappreciated people in bowling. Are these PBA regional managers. So if you ever see one when they're in the bowling center, make sure you say thank you. And we appreciate the jobs they do. Let's take a peek. This is a replay. This is David O'Sullivan just a minute or two ago on lane 10. And watch that head of the 6-pin perfectly kicks the 10-pin over. So once again, freaky hit, but that happens either way. Now he goes, now I'm not going to be able to make it because of the free fall pin setters. It didn't think it was knocked over and set it back up in the 10-pin spot. So pretty neat to see, even though it's not neat for O'Sullivan, obviously, as he thought he had 10 down. And that wasn't the case. But once again, that unique pinfall, that can't be blamed on the string on that one. Let's get back to a couple of the players leading the field right now, 3 and 4. The reason why I'll be resetting cameras between rounds, A and B squad, with Chad Moss, Marshall Kent, and Peyton Naback, all tall drinks of water on that pair. Sorry to frighten everybody by having their heads removed when they stand up at the foul line. As Kent, your leader, Moss second on the squad. And if you're following the scores game by game online, you notice the letters that are by certain players' names. If they're a Y, it means they're a PBA junior member. I is international, S is senior, double S is super senior, and next to the name of Chad Moss is the N for non-member. Chad, many years a member on the PBA Midwest region. And just doesn't bowl as much as he used to in the past. Life changes as life goes on. And no longer a member, but talented player, multiple-time USBC Eagle winner. Dave Bear is on this squad in the same boat. Bear actually was an exempt player back in the decade of the aughts. And Barris multi-time titleist at the PBA regional level and multiple-time titleist at the USBC Open Championships as well. And that sounded pretty soft for Nabak, and you see why. I want to thank Neil Stremmel for sitting in the booth with us for a couple of games here on A Squad. He'll be back on B Squad. I know, Joe. You know what? I got the QubicaAMF people here. Maybe not white, because I don't think you want white on white with the pins, but maybe, they have the orange necks and labeling on the pins itself. Maybe if the strings were in orange or yellow or something, that would, help in the analysis of differences between free fall and string. So I'll forward that to the QubicaAMF representatives here. It might not be something that a lot of centers want to use because they like the look of the black on black, obviously with the curtains being black as well. It just keeps it with a cleaner look, but hey, for a test or something. How about that for Marshall Kent? Who says you can't get sliding pins anywhere? That's going to get set back. See, now this is unique because this is going to be set back up in the 2-pin spot because it senses that was the 2-pin. So Marshall with his thumbs up about that happening to him. You get weird pinfalls anywhere. So there you go. Sometimes with carry down, you hit that pin perfectly in the center of gravity, and that slide can happen. After Moss makes that spare, we'll take another look at the pinfall, or lack thereof, for Marshall Kent. So once again, this is a replay. This is Marshall Kent on his last shot on lane 3. A little right of target line, and there you see the 2-pin slide over after it's hit into the 5-pin spot. And the okay. So, yeah, strange pinfalls can happen, and sometimes you get oil on a pin deck, a little carry down, and you hit that pin right in the center of gravity. You can get some sliding pins. I mean, it's going to hurt Kent's scores slightly. I mean, he was working on a 3-bagger at the time. We'll wait and see what Kent's reaction is like once he, if he carries on. this next shot on lane 3. Let's give you your 7-game scoring update. Kent, we saw his struggles to a 150 on 1 and 2. Kent, it's still at plus 221, your leader on the squad. Chad Moss in second at plus 174. Ryan Zagar third, plus 164. Dave Barris fourth, plus 112. Matt Gasson fifth at plus 106. Luke Sotalski's made a nice charge. Sotalski's last 3 games, 237, 216, 256 for Sotalski to get to plus 101. Kevin McCune in 7th at plus 100, and the spot everybody on B squad's kind of looking at right now, where the cut might be. Brent Dowell. Dowell currently in 8th at plus 88. 45 pins behind that is our host, Stefan Hanen. Ronnie Russell 10th at plus 37. Benji Martinez in 11th at plus 16. And then Darren Bloomquist 12th at minus 5. So we're into the minus once we're past that. So a couple notables in the minus. Sam Cooley at minus 47. And David O'Sullivan at minus 76. And we saw O'Sullivan's not so good break to start off game 8. Once again, your scoring link, it's in the chat comments, that R2 Sports link that we posted. We'll give you game scoring all the way through this PBA Foxx Lanes Midwest Open. And we want to thank some sponsors that jumped on board for this event, including Master Machine Company, Certix Decorating, and the Waukesha USBC, all proud sponsors of the PBA Foxx Lanes Open. And, of course, our host center, Foxx Lanes, live music every Friday night here at Foxview. And, boy, during the summers when they get the car shows out here on Wednesday nights, my goodness. 250, 300, 350 cars out there sometimes for the classic car shows here at Foxx Lanes. Look at some pictures of Calvino's car show that are showing on the monitor here in the bowling center. And, yeah, it's just classic cars as far as the eyes can see. Just amazing. So if you're near Waukesha on a Wednesday night during the summer, yeah, check out Calvino's classic car shows. Also want to thank our sponsors that are on for this event. Once again, BowlerX.com, they are supporting Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. And they support Striking Out Breast Cancer, that great event run in Houston every year, commonly known as the Lucy Doubles. Make your purchase at BowlerX.com. You have the chance to make an optional donation at the end of that purchase. But if you do make a donation, you're going to be entered into a raffle drawing. And for every $500 in donations made, BowlerX will draw one lucky player to win a bowling ball, bowling bag, or bowling shoes of their choice, up to $250 in value. BowlerX giving back once again. Check out their latest releases. It's always good to check out that clearance rack. Sometimes you get some great bargains on some awesome bowling equipment at BowlerX.com, and we have our season-long sponsors. The PBA LBC National Championships 2025 edition. Going to be ready to roll that last weekend in May, a little earlier start here in 2025, rolling all the way through mid-July. 7 consecutive weekends. We have your chance to take down some quality prize money and get the PBA experience while you're there. If you're a PBA LBC member currently, or you've bowled previous editions of the PBA LBC National Championships, you can enter now and get your choice of squad times. Otherwise, to the general public, those entries will open up on December 1st Get all your tournament information that you'll need for the 2025 PBA LBC National Championships at pba.com/LBC tournament. And thanks again to the Hainan family and H5G Brands. Saw the creator of H5G, Todd Molbeck, here last night during the Pro-Am. Good to see Todd as always. Great supporter of the sport of bowling for decades. And now with his daughter Cassie and son-in-law Stefan at the helm of H5G Brands, they're bringing you a nice fall special to celebrate the weather getting a little cooler by saving a little cold hard cash. 35% off site-wide with limited restrictions. And you don't even need a discount code. After the round's complete, go check out h5gbrands.com. If you see a jersey that you like you see on the back of Ronnie Russell, or you see later today on EJ Tackett, you can get that jersey customized your way. And they also have great PBA merchandise as well. If you're a fan of the PBA, get yourself a hat, bottle opener, tote bag, all kinds of goodies. h5gbrands.com. Wow, Ronnie. No break on that spare. Attempt for Russell. Let's go back and take a look at that 1-2-4-8 attempt by Russell. Watch that ball just wheel in, and just the head of the head pin hits it, doesn't take it down. And you see the look of disgust from Russell on the way back, especially because right now Russell just outside the top 8 at plus 37, so Russell's in need of a big game to try to see competition tomorrow, and he's only going to be able to max out now at 217. Might not be enough for Russell to make it to tomorrow, and yeah, it's not looking good for Double R right now. So thanks everyone for watching. Once again, we'll be back at 2 p.m. Central Time for B Squad. Some of the bowlers you're going to see on B Squad include A.J. Johnson, E.J. Tackett, Josh Blanchard. Players you've seen in the PBA Junior National Finals, including Landon Jordan and Trey Heinrichsmeyer. Hey, how about that? Both of our Open Classic Division champions for the 2 editions of the PBA LBC National Championships will be on B Squad with Heinrichsmeyer and Blaha. I wonder if this is the first time they've both been in the same place at the same time in a tournament. We'll ask them when they get here. We'll have to check it out. And some local names here to Wisconsin, including Lyle Kuhlman, Brian Schmidt, Alex Peglow, Matthew Hibbard, Jason Wyckoff, Lucas Page, Tristan Albrecht, Brent Boho, Trenton Holtz, and we can't forget some solid PBA players as well, and Zach Tackett and Jace Meyer. You'll see all those players coming up B Squad, 2 p.m. Central Time. Thanks everybody for watching. Please share on your social media that you're watching free PBA regional coverage today, and they can watch all weekend long for free on the PBA Bowling YouTube channel. I'm $2 Phil Brilo. Hey parents, take the kids bowling. because they'll have fun for life, and we'll see you back here in about an hour and a half. I still like the whole.